What's up, everyone? It's Francis Lamanna from newsbuffet.com. There's two things that I wanted to share with you guys today. The first thing has to do with my new findings on the JFK assassination. I don't know if you're aware or not, but I wrote 3 books. 2 of them were published. The third one is in the process. I'm in the process of finding a publisher for it. Smorgasbord 1 and Smorgasbord 2, Catch Up and Relish, are the books. And there's a third one. And in the third book, I do a 70-page chapter or a 70-page analysis on the astrological chart for the assassination of JFK, set for 12:30 in the afternoon on November the 22nd in 1963. So I kind of just let that go after I wrote that chapter in that book, and I haven't really been doing any type of research on the assassination, but some new findings came my way that I just couldn't ignore. So, and I'm going to share that with you right now. I made a video on Facebook the other day telling you guys that I was coming close to figuring things out, or at least I thought I was. So that's what I'm going to share with you right now. That's one half of it. All right, so let's get into that. So what I discovered was there was a man named Charles Hapgood, and Charles Hapgood spent his life writing and researching things like crust displacement, sacred sites, and the Atlantis myth. Okay, he was really determined to prove that the North and South American continents slid at least 30 degrees during a crust displacement. Now, while he was researching his myth for Atlantis, like, this is something he spent his entire life doing. So while he's in the process of doing that research, he finds out somehow that there's $500 million worth of gold at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean at the base of the rocks of St. Peter and St. Paul. According to Hapgood, the rocks of St. Peter and St. Paul are the only remains, well, they're the remains of ancient Atlantis, and they're what's showing through the water. So he's saying that at the base of those is $500 million worth of gold. Now, a lot of people might debate that, but you know what? He felt so strongly that there was gold there that he set up a meeting with John F. Kennedy in the White House in October of 1963. He lived in Massachusetts at the time, so he was from where the Kennedy family was from, and he also did work for the CIA. So it wasn't really hard for him to get that meeting with the president. So he met with the president, and he was asking for funding for his expedition. He wanted an aircraft carrier, and he wanted money for underwater cameras and helicopters. And what they were going to do was they were going to fly the helicopters around St. Peter and St. Paul, and they were going to look down into the water. And if they saw anything, that they were going to send the cameras down there to check. Well, Charles Hapgood never got anything from the president because he was murdered in November, less than a month later. That's really interesting, but it gets even more interesting because now Charles Hapgood isn't going to give up on his quest. So after Kennedy gets assassinated, he goes and talks to I think Rockefeller for funding. Rockefeller has no interest, and he denies him. So his last resort is Walt Disney. Walt Disney says no. So now he has no money to go and look for this gold. So he spends the next 19 years teaching, and then he's getting to the end of his life. So he didn't get to look for the gold, but what he really wanted to do was he wanted someone to pick up where he left off. He wanted someone to continue his life's work and build upon what he did. So he writes a letter out to, I think it was Rand Flemath, who wrote the book The Atlantis Blueprint, and told him about all of his theories, the crust displacement theory, and all the things that he was working on. So, and he told Rand Flemath that, you know, he had proof that there was an advanced civilization of human beings on the Earth at least 100,000 years ago, living in the North American and South American continents. Well, they said that Ath was so excited and wrote back immediately. He never got a response from Hapgood. 2 weeks pass by, and Ranath gets his letter back, and it's stamped deceased, and somehow Charles Hapgood gets ran over by a car as he's crossing the street. So now you have Kennedy killed in November after Hapgood goes to him. Hapgood goes dark for 19 years. He comes out again and starts to try to re-pursue this, and now he gets hit by a car. That's just beyond coincidence to me. And what's really hard to even like process is that nobody even mentioned, like, if you're doing an investigation on a murder, especially the president, you're going to want to know everybody who he had contact with within the last month. I don't even know if the Warren report even covered his relationship with Charles Hapgood. But I thought that was interesting how nobody even mentioned that. And here's another thing. Onassis, right? Jackie Kennedy's second husband, he had a ship business. He was an international shipper, right? He was that was his thing. He used to ship tobacco, like Turkish tobacco and stuff, to South America. So now, okay, so nobody was talking about that at all. Now, here's the other side to that. That's John F. Kennedy's relationship with Charles Hapgood and Charles Hapgood's quest for this gold. But now I'll give you the other part of this. Okay, so there's a lot of coincidences that are going on, or that people know about, between the assassinations of Abraham Lincoln and the assassination of John F. Kennedy. There's a lot of weird but really accurate coincidences, synchronicities, call them what you want, between the two deaths. And those are all over the internet. You could check those out for yourself. They're on there. However, there's one that I have not seen, but I figured out for myself recently. So Abraham Lincoln gets assassinated in 1865. 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73. In 1873, the gold standard was created, which now meant silver bullion was worthless. So anybody living in the United States who held silver were shit out of luck, because their silver was now worthless. They were only allowing gold to be redeemed. They were only redeeming gold. Kennedy was assassinated in 1963. 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71. In 1971, the gold standard in the United States was no longer, and the dollar was now allowed to fluctuate with market conditions. There was exactly 8 years in between the assassination of both presidents and the change in our currency. You think that's coincidental? I don't know. Now, here is the icing on the cake. Think about what I just told you about Kennedy and Lincoln and the change in currency. Think about Charles Hapgood with the gold at the bottom of the Atlantic. Okay, so in the late 1800s, the United States started producing silver certificates. Those were the certificates they were dollars. They were American, they looked like U.S. currency, but you were allowed to redeem gold with those, right? You could bring in a shitload of gold and get money for gold, right? They stopped the redemption of gold, or of silver certificates, or gold for silver certificates, in March of 1964, 3 months after John F. Kennedy was assassinated. And on June 21st in 1968, they halted all redemption and all production of silver certificates. Well, what happened in June 21st, 1968? RFK was assassinated on 6/6/1968. 3 weeks later, they halt all redemption for gold and all production of silver certificates. What is going on in that picture? And I said a long time ago that the reason why the Kennedy assassination was never solved was because if you found out who killed JFK, then you would find out who ran the world. And I have it on good authority that those roots go back to the Vatican. And that gold belongs probably to the Templars. That was gold that the church wanted. That's old gold, bro. That's gold from 1000 AD. I'm telling you now. So that's my belief. Okay. The second part of this is in the culture today. I don't know if you guys know, but there's like a beef going on, or there has been a beef. It might even be dying out now. I might have came into this old, but I'm just saying that there's a beef going on between Kendrick Lamar and Drake. I mean, I always loved Drake. I always loved his music. I never really heard of Kendrick Lamar until he actually started getting into this beef with Drake. But he's saying some stuff that you know, as an American, you're like, damn, all right. So, but what I wanted to say about that was, in one of his songs, he calls Drake a 69 God. And I wanted to tell you, or give you my opinion of what the 69 God is. So, the 69 God, it relates to the sign of Cancer, the astrological sign of Cancer. All right. So if you turn it sideways, you have the astrological sign of Cancer, 6 and 9. So what 6 and 9 represents is duality. It represents, think about the yin and the yang, right? I'm not a good drawer, but it's something like that, So the 6-9, that represents duality. It's tied into the sign of Cancer. And if you think about the sign of Cancer, it's represented by a crab. Its sign is the crab, and the crab has a really hard exterior, right? So it's really hard, and it looks really tough on the outside, but it's really soft on the inside. And I don't know if that's kind of part of the diss of what Kendrick Lamar was trying to get at, but that's the relationship to Cancer. But it's not a bad thing. That's just what the sign is. So the crab has this hard shell, really tough, hard exterior, but on the inside it's really soft, and it uses the shell for its protection, which is probably true of most humans, if you think about it. And so 6-9 represents duality. It represents up, it represents down, in, out, dark, light, black, white, heaven, hell, God, the devil. It represents duality. It represents opposites. So if Kendrick Lamar, I mean, it could be interpreted in a good way too, because if he's saying that Drake is a 69 God, then what he's saying is that, in a way, and I don't think he meant this, but if you're a 69 God, you're a master of duality, okay? You walk a straight path. You walk that straight gray path. And 69, right? The 6 and the 9, it represents as above, so below. So you become a master of duality, so you walk the straight path and you block out extremes, right? Because extremes lead to war, problems, so you block that out and you walk the straight and narrow. But you have to become a master of duality. You have to understand the relationship between opposites in this world to do that. And so that's what a 69 God is. It understands the relationship as above, so below, and it's a master of opposites and duality. The owl relates to Athena, which is the Roman goddess of war. I guess you could say she was the Roman goddess of war, but Athena, her symbol was the owl, and she was considered the most important god in the Roman pantheon. So, and you see her standing there with her spear. So that's where the owl comes from, Athena. That's a Roman symbol, and yeah, and that's it, man. These are my opinions about what's going on with the JFK assassination, even though it was like 61 years ago, maybe now. And the Kendrick Lamar beef, the 69 God, that whole thing. You know what? There's actually one last thing I wanted to tell you about that. What I figured out a little while ago, I wrote an article on my website about this and what this means, this whole 69 God thing. And I'm going to break that down for you real quick. So if you could imagine that this is a wing, okay? This is a wing. You see how I'm moving my hand? And this is another wing. Okay. So 6, 15, 24, 33, 33, 42, 51, 60. Right? You put it together and you have the most sacred symbol of the most highest God. Of what, or at least what the ancients believed to be the highest God. Right? 6, 15, 24, 33, 33, 42, 51, 60. So what do you know about these numbers? These are all multiples of 6. Or, no, they're not multiples of 6. All of these numbers can be added and reduced to 6. 6, 15, 5 plus 1 is 6. 24, 4 plus 2 is 6. 33, 3 plus 3 is 6. 42, 4 plus 2 is 6. 51, 5 plus 1 is 6. And 60 equals 6. 6 plus 0. All right, they could be added and reduced to 6. But that's the 6 part of it. The 9 part of it is that all of these numbers are separated by 9. 6 plus 9 is 15. 15 plus 9 is 24. 24 plus 9 is 33. 33 plus 9 is 42. 42 plus 9 is 51. And 51 plus 9 is 60. 6-9 God. Have a good day, everyone.